Hello and welcome back. This is video number 4, and we're going to talk about content and how you can go about taking what we just learned in the previous video, doing the research, finding the keywords, finding what people like and what they want to engage in with. So if we pull that up here, remember we did a search on weight loss magazines, Weight Watchers, Shape, and Women's Health. We found that they like stories, testimonials, basically showing that it works for other people. And essentially, those would also include things like side by side pictures, like one picture over here, and how they've, went through maybe Weight Watchers and then or weight loss, and then you see another picture of them having lost weight. Then, of course, we have content in the form of maybe recipes and in the form of exercises. Now, how do you go about replicating this if you don't have a lot of this content already? Well, right out the bat, if you don't have a lot of testimonials, you can go straight to recipes or to exercises. Now, how do you go about doing that, getting people's attention as they're scrolling through hashtags? Well, as we know, psychologically and over the years, it's been proven that images work. But not only any images, but images that are often non threatening, which are basically cartoons. So, if you've noticed over the years, you might have seen ads with cartoons, especially in the area of weight loss, relationships, money, and more. Now, this is how we're going to go about doing it. We are going to simply, let's say we went through here and we found, let's say, a workout that is working out really, really well. So instead of including tons and tons of words and just images here, what we're going to do is you don't necessarily have to plagiarize, but you can just simply follow the workout. So maybe you find a workout that works really well in terms of losing weight, and instead of taking pictures of you, you want to post something perhaps more non-threatening. So you can either do it in several different ways. You can either use a app called Get Stencil, that's getstencil.com, and you can use this to create quotes, you can use this to create different words that stand out. And that's what I would do. Instead of posting tons and tons of text and only text and that's it, and hashtags, I would post both text, hashtags, and images. Now, like I said, Get Stencil is mainly for things like quotes and words. But if you want to, let's say, convert an image, and let's say you have a workout that works really well, you can send your images to an artist and have the artist turn those images into cartoons. So, one site that we recommend going to is called Fiverr.com. That's Fiverr.com. And if you go to the site, you'll be able to find a lot of people who can create amazing cartoons. Now, some of them look really cheesy. The goal of this is to simply find an artist that fits what you're looking for. So if you're scrolling down and you see, okay, this person creates designs that are similar to what I'm looking for, then you might want to open that up. So basically, just scroll down, take a look to see if you can find somebody who is creating designs and cartoons that fit that character. Now, what I recommend that you do is once you have found an artist on Fiverr that creates exactly what you like, stick with them. Okay, so that way all of your cartoons look consistent. If you have 5 different cartoon artists creating 5 different types of styles, it's going to be very obvious to those that are following you that there's something not right. They might think that you're just taking those from online and just simply posting them. But if you have somewhat of a consistency, and if you're, let's say, for example, that you're using this person here, and they're creating people that are working out, or I mean, you can make it funny if you find that in your niche that they're not using humans, they're using some like animal or something that is very non-threatening. And what that does is because it's non-threatening, people are more likely to click. So once you've gotten them to click, and if you got really good content from that point on, then they're most likely going to stay and continue to follow you. So that's a little bit of a tip, is to take a workout or take something of a graphic that's working really well and then converting it to a cartoon and sticking with the artist. Now, in terms of Fiverr and how you can go about finding really good artists, it's like the question goes, how do you know if they're good or if they're not? The way you can tell is simply by looking at their designs and seeing if there's some consistency. So I know I talk a lot about consistency, but that is going to help you figure out if they're plagiarizing, are they copying from other artists, or do they actually know how to draw? So if we take a look at this guy here, you see how his people and his animals look very similar? That tells us that he is actually drawing those. So for example, this one here is mainly anime, but we can see the design, the style is very similar. So if we go here, it says, I will create a cartoon ready for animation. So this is actually very interesting. This guy creates a cartoon with body parts. So you can have him create a certain type of person and then create different arms, different motions. That way you can have them move, essentially. So this is really good. This is actually very interesting. So you can have them create different faces, different body poses, different motions of the hand, the arms, different things. Okay, so this guy's is actually very decent. This is very interesting right here. I would actually hire this person right here. So if you go to fiverr.com, look for Oleg, Dovgan. So Oleg Dovgan. I'm probably saying his name wrong, but go here, look for this guy. If we look at his reviews, we can see that for the most part, he's got 51 5-star reviews, and for 4-star reviews, he doesn't have any 3, 1, 2, or 3. That's a good sign. We can see that he charges about $20 to do 2 facial expressions. So what I would do is I would start out maybe with the basic one, and if you like it, you can always add more facial expressions, body, arms, and more. But obviously you can see that it's a lot more cheaper if you go with the premium right off the bat. So he does 6 facial expressions, 2 trunk, 3 sets of legs, 8 arms, and 8 additional items. So this guy is actually pretty interesting. I'm glad I looked at this because this is something that we could actually use and create a form of consistency, especially if you create a mascot or a person that looks similar over and over again in terms of either an animal or a female or a male, depending on the demographic that you're trying to target. So that's what I would do also. If your main target is women, you might want to ask the person to create a woman. If your main target is mostly men, then of course, that said, go ahead and create a man. So that's what I would do in terms of content goes. In terms of hashtags, I would utilize the hashtags that we did some research on and that were working really well for us. Now I'll talk more about hashtags and a specific really ninja cool tactic that you can use in the last video, but in the next video, we're going to talk about giveaways. And once you get your account running, how do you go about expanding it without attracting a lot of freebie seekers? All right, so with that said, let's move on to the next video.